Ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ bá jó, ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ bá jó, olúwa mi ò dìde ojú
The Ashen Forge. Ashen's the Ashen Forge.
Hello and welcome to the Ashen Forge. I'm Phantom X, joined as always by Diggs and the legendary Neurotoxin. How are y'all doing?
Wow, that chat is tiny. I'm not going to be able to read that.
Yes. We are, hopefully everybody can hear us okay. If not, Taryn, you're in the chat, I see. Please let us know. It is, of course, a brand new year, so we are trying something different. Twitch has allowed us to not only stream to their platforms, so we are now streaming 5 different places, I think. So hopefully I set this all up correctly. If not, again, please let us know. We are back.
I can see YouTube. I can see Twitter. I can see Twitch. Twitter took a little while. It got past the intro before it finally kicked on. But YouTube and obviously Twitch were pretty instant. As for kick, I don't know. I kick balls. I don't kick messaging apps.
You kick balls? Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Alright.
athletics balls and stuff.
Okay. I guess
Foot
clarification helps.
balls, soccer balls.
I wasn't sure where you were going at with kicking balls, so we've been gone a little bit. But yeah, so we had our sort of mandatory.
I mean, I'll crush their nuts too, but that's completely different. I love pecans, almonds, walnuts. I can keep the joke rolling, but we should probably get to the intro. I'll stop cutting you off here.
It's a new year. We can do. Let's be relaxed. Don't have to be by the book. But yeah, we took our sort of, I guess anymore it's mandatory holiday break for a few weeks just to sort of rest and recoup. Of course, there's not really much information anyways coming out over the holidays, but they have a live stream coming up on Wednesday. So here we are.
There is one really big thing that happened since the last live stream. Congratulations, Maggie.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
The amazing community lead and her lovely husband have gotten married over this past break. And Snow, talking about weather events and stuff, Snow tried to ruin it and get in the way. So, the event system allowed for a bit of change of consequences, and they were able to finish the quest. So,
Risk versus reward. It's going to be a very memorable wedding. It's not memorable if you don't
that's
have
hilarious.
challenges to overcome. So,
yeah. But anyway, yes, absolutely. Much love. Looked like a fantastic gathering in a very cozy place. So I'm glad it still worked out.
Did you, I guess, have you been on Twitter at all today to see her news?
no.
Oh, well, she has also posted that they are expecting in October.
All right.
Nice.
Congratulations.
I remember when she was talking about getting the van and saying, all right, time to get the mom-mobile. So,
yeah,
everything's coming along. Good
married
stuff.
and a kid. So,
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And sorry, if anybody thinks we're celebritizing and making things weird, I've known Max for a decade or so now. So, yes.
Over a decade, because I think
over a decade. We all met at SOE
a year
Live
ago. Yeah,
it was
a year ago that we met in person. So I mean 10 years that we
10
met
years
in person.
ago. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see, I can't remember. It was definitely at SOE Live 2012. I can't remember if I had been to any on-site events before that, but I know after that I was at a whole lot of other things. So
Mhm, mhm.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All the way back to PlanetSide 1. Anyhow, back onto the subject of this year and this game and what might be going on with it. We've got the live stream coming up on Wednesday. So that'll be interesting. See what sort of new stuff that they're willing to show, what sort of details and everything. If there's any more teasing they're going to do about Alpha 2, we'll see.
Well, Alpha 2 is gonna get me back to my derail because I still have a derail before we jump into Ashes of Creation. But
Oh man.
um, but it's kind of related to Ashes of Creation. So I've been playing a lot of Lego Fortnite with my 8-year-old friend in Denver. Um, and I'm having a lot of fun. It's really good sandbox, not so much sandbox, but like survival. Really good survival. I'm constantly having to survive. It's pushing me to build. There's tons of exploration, so I'm having a bunch of fun exploring in a bunch of different ways. But so the game came out in December. Um, People have been data mining and finding files in there for upcoming updates, and they found like a new biome, and they found new resources associated with the biome, and a new tier level of tools, and all the glitch streamers and update streamers have been speculating that on the January 23rd update, we're going to get this new biome. One person said it's confirmed. We're getting the new biome and all this stuff. And January 23rd came and no new biome, no new resources, no new tools. And then those same streamers are like, well, they could have done it, but they're screwing us because they chose not to add it in this new update. Um, and I'm thinking, so it wasn't
Why are you
confirmed.
looking under the hood and then getting mad about it,
Right, right.
guys?
And then
Come on.
you said it was confirmed. So I'm thinking, and don't be mad at me. It's not my fault that they didn't. They chose to screw us and not put it into this update. And I'm like, they didn't give us a date. You found the files. They didn't say when they were releasing, and they removed the files from the game. And it's like, yeah, because people are data mining and leaking stuff that they're not ready to release yet. But my other thing, kind of related to Ashes of Creation, as we're speculating about dates and even us taking a little hiatus, the game released in December. Why would you be expecting a new biome January 23rd? Like, we probably crunched in order to get the game out in December, and then you figure they're probably going to get a winter holiday break of Hanukkah off and Christmas off and New Year's off, and probably they're not going to be trying to push their employees to spit out a new biome is a lot, plus resources and all that stuff. So then there's why are you simp? Why are you simping for Epic? Are you trying to get hired by Epic? And I'm like, no, it's just
You trying to get
it makes
hired by
sense.
Epic?
You know, if you know anything from the game development side, it doesn't make a lot of sense that they're going to release something so big right after. Like even when we were speculating on Alpha 2, we're like, probably it's not going to be January, could be February, but probably not in January because we're going to want to give them a winter holiday break, you know. Just so I did find that to be funny.
So
Now we can jump back into Ashes of Creation.
a lot of those kinds of questions in the live stream question thread too. The stuff that nobody's going to like. What 500 years from now, how are you going to balance the game? It's like the game's not even Alpha 2 yet. Why are you asking about balancing years down the line? Like why is that even a thing in your mind?
I'm
Like,
sorry, did they say 500 years?
I made that up, but like later,
yeah,
like they did indicate 2 years later. Like, how are you going to balance? And it's like you haven't even had a chance to test the game yet. Like, why are you asking about balancing questions? I don't.
I mean, I can answer the question. It's a very, very easy answer. We're going to get feedback from the community and the data from gameplay and make changes based on that. You can carve that into stone, and every time the question comes up, point at the stone, because that's going to be the answer. The only time it's not going to be the answer is if it's somehow the game doesn't do well, and it's like, well, we got to reduce to a skeleton crew, and we got one server left. Sorry, but I highly doubt that the game's going to do that. You know, the more we've been seeing some of the little startups and one-offs and other games that are, you know, trying to jump into the, you know, using Unreal 5 and doing something new in the MMO space sort of thing. I'm seeing it feels like a lot of them are rushed and they're like, you know, coming up short compared to the immense amount of detail I feel like we've already had demonstrated, as well as the framework for the rest of the detail that we can, you know, theory craft on and extrapolate on until Alpha 2 comes and we actually get to see it. So,
I
you
think
know, I'm
though.
thinking this is, you know, go ahead. Go right ahead.
No, I think I was just going to say that one, there's this balance that you're going to have anyway between our devs. If you're talking about balancing, they're trying to do a tightrope between uh, what's good for the game and the rule sets that they want, and also what the players want. So gamers want. A lot of time gamers, you know, even you got that somewhat with Steven, right? Like, I'm a gamer and this is what I want to do for the community because it's our community and I want to make a game for gamers. And then you get onto the development side and you're like, okay, well, I wanted to do this, but I can't really do it. I wanted to be super transparent, but it turns out it's better if we're not completely transparent. And it's the same thing with bugs. You know, we want to get this bug fixed, but it didn't quite get in yet. Or we thought we had the bug fixed, but it's not fixed. So we're going to have to do it in the next update. There's all these little things that, you know, from the gamer side, is not necessarily as easy. One of the big things is QA. I remember when I was a gamer and I'd be like, um, you know, I put that bug in and, you know, I told them about it and they just never fix it. Those QA people suck. Those people in QA suck. And then you actually get in QA and you're like, no, I put that bug in. It's been there. I reported it and they're not fixing it. So it's not that I didn't find the bug. I found the bug and they aren't fixing it. So don't always blame QA, but you don't know that when you're, you know, just on a gamer and haven't been in production or haven't been in on the development side. So that's part of the fun.
Yeah, and that is that very odd information. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a bad sort of thing because I know what it takes to make a game, and I'm still sometimes impatient when I see things that are like, "Come on, guys, really? It's taking you this long to do this? Come on now, come on." People have literally made mods to fix this. Why don't you just like, you know, send someone a trophy and steal their mod and just call it good? Like, what's going on? Yeah, we that sort of thing.
But also, it's
but
kind of like
but
No Man's Sky. It's kind of like No Man's Sky. You know, they got a lot of crap for releasing their game with not all the stuff that they wanted to release. But they did a great job month after month, or I guess really it was more like season after season, and then year after year, updating with free updates and getting it to where they want it to be. And I think that's what a lot of these early access games are hoping to do is it's good enough for you to play now and have some fun now, and we're hoping that, you know, in 2 or 3 months we'll be able to fix it so it's even better. Um, and you know, the more they're able to do that, that's great. It's just we're having to pay for early access and the crappy bugs. Um, which
yeah,
is
but it is definitely the other side of the coin for me is the joke I always go to is that every game is actually made instantly. Artists, designers, everybody, they're just a bunch of schmucks that are sitting around on their thumbs at their desk. Nobody's actually doing any of that stuff. There's just a button on the producer's desk that says make the game. And all the producer does day in and day out is they pace around wondering when the right time to press the make it the game button is. And that's all that's the entirety of game dev ever since like the 70s. It's all automated. It's just to make the game button, and it's just a producer like
Mhm.
smoking cigarettes and
Mhm.
pacing around, wiping the sweat off his brow. Oh golly gee, can I press the button? I don't know if this is the right time, brother. No, that's obviously that is absolutely facetious and complete exaggeration. That's not what it is. It is not that whatsoever.
I think we
But
are in this interesting period though where we're
we're getting
paying to
closer.
test. We pay to test. We pay to test the games. Well, it used to be, right? Mm, they would just let us test, and it was like, "Thank you for testing our game." Now we're
Mhm.
paying to test the game, and then it's free for us to mod for them in their various channels. They want us to moderate their channels and forums and stuff and Discord for free, but we have to pay to test. And it's just kind of interesting to me. I guess pretty
It
soon
is
we'll
an
be paying to
interesting sort
mod
of
it.
model, but I
Hmm.
also see the other side of the coin that's often done with it. I don't generally see it just being I mean, some games do this and it's a little funky. It's like, okay, you got an informational advantage, but a lot of times, and especially with Ashes of Creation, there's the whole you're buying aesthetics. And oh yeah, there's also this package that gives you access to gameplay, but you're buying the aesthetics. You keep the aesthetics. You keep the cosmetic stuff. And so I can see how that ends up being the case with a lot of early accesses. Oh, buy Call of Battlefield War Shooter and get the this exclusive gun and skin that you can only get if you pre-order. And like, oh man, I got to pre-order and get that. And when it hits gameplay, it was the best in class gun in the previous one, but they tuned it down a bit in this one. Now it's just mid. And so now it's like, oh, well, if I kill someone with this gun, it might be mid, but at least they know I'm like OG and pre ordered. Whatever. That's one of the other kind of tricks of the early access and the pre order sort of stuff. But at the same time, there is the legitimate we're a company that needs money in order to continue making this game sort of thing. And while we know a little bit more about the backing for Ashes of Creation, it's not that they're not a company that's trying to make money. Um, they definitely did end the sales of that final cosmetics package, like they were saying. They gave us months and months of warning, and then I saw the update when it went down. It's like, yep, see you later. It was a cool
I
looking
don't know
pack,
if you
but
also saw in the forums the complaints. I missed it because I wasn't paying attention. Well, I don't know. They told us for a bunch of months that it was going away.
I mean, how much time did we have? Like literally like a quarter, right? At least 4 months, 3
Yeah.
it
months.
was a while. It felt like 6 months to me, but I know I'm not
Mm,
correct.
mm.
I know in the
Yeah, it was at least
discords I
short
was
for
in,
me.
I honestly got the day before. I was like tired of all the messages. Like everybody in any kind of discord related to Ashes of Creation is like last day, last day.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Teradin is saying, whose fault would that be? Yeah. Hmm.
Paying attention for the win. Um,
Hmm.
well, since we are talking about Alpha Two,
I mean,
when
maybe they shouldn't have paid attention and said paid for the package. Sorry, I'll see myself out.
Hmm.
so what quarter again are we supposed to have Alpha Two?
Didn't they
Is it
say
third?
third quarter? Wasn't
Th-
it? I don't
yeah,
know. Hey, send your dope crew over there. It's third quarter, isn't it? He ought to know.
I hope he knows.
Hmm.
And then he's gonna say, I don't know, I'm just writing stories.
Hmm. Hmm.
Which
Hmm.
is fair. No, I'm pretty sure it was the third quarter.
Right. No
Just look at
idea.
that.
Hmm.
Well, here,
I don't set the dates, I just make the stories.
yeah. Um,
Yes, and now when you go to the shop page on Ashes of Creation, no items available. No items for general purchase at this time. Sign in to explore your add-ons and blah blah blah. Yes, I'm not signed in because it's got two-factor and whatever. I'm not gonna
Same
sign in
for
right
me. I
now.
was going to do that, and then two factor hit me.
But it is
The
definitely not out in the open on the store to buy a package and get access. So if I
so
had
here
to wager, most of what's left in the sign in and buy stuff is the higher tier people that can buy in at even higher levels
yeah.
or whatever that is. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, so here we are, third quarter, and everybody, of course, they hear third quarter, they think like early third quarter, like, oh, there's no way it's going to be, um, like August, September, like, moving into October. We're not going to straddle that third, fourth quarter line. It's going to be early third quarter. The reason I'm bringing this up is if you all remember way back, we were told Alpha 2, we're going to have some tests back in December. Remember this? With the both with um, the Phoenix Initiative, but also with some of the original, A1 backers. Um, I don't think I played anything. Of course, it would have been NDA. We wouldn't be able to tell anyways. But um, my point being, now
There
we're
were five.
past
There were five people. It's
5
just
people.
you weren't included in the 5 people
There were
from
five
Alpha
people.
1.
All right, I got left out, I guess. But here we are. It is going to be February, and as far as I'm aware, now there's always PI. I have no clue what happens in PI, but I would assume hopefully PI is in there. But we're at February, and we still don't have any of the larger group invited in, as far as anyone is aware. Um, I don't know. I'm just saying, third quarter. I'm sticking with October. Was my pick. So.
I don't know why you're even worried about that because the game is releasing before 2020.
Where are we? What? Yeah, we're
The
back
game
to
is
the
releasing before 2020, so we don't have to be worried about Alpha
it's
2
like we're
Good old
in the third
Kickstarter.
quarter of
got to change the date
2024.
of our podcast. Uh,
Good old Kickstarter.
yeah,
But that
2030.
happens. It happens a lot of times, and it's one of those things that it's probably better that it happened than it didn't because I don't know what we would have gotten if Steven and crew tried to rush something out and called it an MMO. I'm glad that they've taken the time. He's learned a whole hell of a lot about game development over this, which is, really important to being able to succeed and manage expectations and everything. And it's been a bit of an interesting journey with seeing what's been going on kind of mechanically and potentially narratively with Jeffrey Bard having left and Bill Trost jumping in.
They say
So
that. I don't think we've had any indication that he's been doing anything or he's even there. Wait, what-
there's
That's another
people
before 2020 thing, right?
there's
That's like
people
Node
who
3.
definitely know, but I get the feeling that he's more of a perhaps to show, not to
To
talk
tell and not
about.
to show?
To show and not to tell.
No, to tell and not to show. They told us he's working there, but we haven't seen any
Oh
indication that
no, I
he's
mean
working
for
there.
his work, for his to be more that he prefers to demonstrate it
That's
than talk
fine.
about it to us. Which, yeah, there's a lot of room for a lot of facets and intricacy to the entirety of the narrative system. So if he's so busy with that he doesn't want to jump on a live stream to talk about it, hey, amen to that.
Not
Keep
even
on
just the live
working.
stream. Steven hasn't told us what Bill has done. Maggie hasn't told us what Bill has done. What's he doing?
I don't know.
I'm
I
just
can't.
saying.
I don't know, and if I did know, I
Pick or it didn't
probably wouldn't be
happen.
allowed to say anything.
Pick or it
But
didn't
no, I
happen.
don't
That's what
know.
I'm saying.
Fix or well, I don't know. Was
I know.
he? Are there any company shots that we can confirm his presence in? Bill, we
I'm
gotta
just joking.
prove that you're here. Come to the
In
office.
in the live streams, they never say, "Oh yeah, Bill did blah 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 blah." oh yeah, Bill worked on that, or oh yeah, Bill helped us with that, or I'm just saying.
Still listed as a lead game designer at Intrepid Studios on LinkedIn at least. So it's all good. You know, I just hopefully want something fun to play long term. I've been trying to get into stuff over this little break we took. You know, I was doing eco, and then I was doing can't even remember what all now. Oh, got back into
Do
Eve.
Pal World.
Did Pal World.
I went through my humble backlog and added some like 400 games to my Steam list, 500 games. And I've only played a few of them. One of them I beat real quick because it was super tiny. I already had 1,200 games to start with, so you know, I have more games than I need, and there might still even be more of them for me to go back and get. So yeah, you know, there's I've been playing a lot of little things here, this and that. Some of the Zachtronics puzzle games, because those are kind of neat and interesting systems and mechanics that they use. Got a few other things going on. Started working on the next game I'm working on. Hey everybody, I don't know if you know, but I actually released 2 games last year. You never heard of them, and you probably don't like arcade stuff and platformers, so like, you know, whatever. But they're great. They're very fun.
Hey, you don't put yourself down. Put it out there. Get people
Yeah,
interested.
no, I'm not putting myself. I'm just teasing. They're fantastic games. They are. But yeah, Deathwish Enforcers, Guardgrave, Deathwish Enforcers. Hold off. Wait for the Steam version. Guardgrave. Jump on it. And if you're not convinced, I think the itch version still has a demo, so you can hop on there too. Give it a try. If you can beat level 3, that means it's time to buy the whole version. It's only like $5, so yeah. Good stuff. Fun game.
Phantom, did you try Enshrouded? Is that the name of the one that
No,
just
I
came
have
out
not.
like a week ago?
No, because I assumed I would like, hey, this is great for a day, and then
hmm I'm thinking Valheim came up with or is coming up with DLC, some kind of expansion or something. And I'm thinking that's going to be more interesting to me than Pal World or Enshrouded even. Um, really not interested in Pal World. And I'm not sure why I'm supposed to be more interested in Enshrouded than I would be in Valheim once they introduce new content. But other than the
it's new
fact,
and shiny.
who's playing? Well, who's playing? You know, um,
Honestly, after I
Valheim.
saw a dude cut down a log IRL and have it go like sliding about a half mile down the mountain towards camp, is like, yeah, I don't even need. Why play Valheim when like watching people fumble around as lumberjacks is way more fun. Honestly, the
Yeah,
tree
no.
cutting and the mechanics behind that was probably one of the things that was most outstanding to me in Valheim. It was a simple system, but damn it, the fact that you could use trees to break rocks to get stone and ore that you weren't able to access, to knock down trees you shouldn't have access to kill freaking trolls with if you can drop it on their damn head. That's awesome. That's a game that uses trees the right way. I like the physics of their building system, that you have to support the weight of the things going up. You can see what's well supported and what's under a lot of load. There's a lot of really good mechanics to the game, a lot to love, but just need more. Need more than that.
hmm hmm Yeah, I was having some fun while DLP crew were playing. And I think I'd play it again if people were playing. Um, I think that's the big thing, especially with normally in survival games. I'm not really a big survival game player, but um, it can be fun to gather resources for other people who are builders. I think the building in that game is. I'm not a great builder in Valheim. Um, better builder in Lego Fortnite. Um,
Well, we have now chatted for a half an hour. Really haven't touched on a ton of the upcoming Ashes stuff. So,
Yeah,
PvP is
I wanted to say actually before we get into that, let's talk about the Ranger a little bit more. It's
Okay.
been a month. We've had some
Yeah.
time to talk about, to think about it. What are your thoughts on the Ranger now that there's been a little bit more time to kind of dwell on it? Because we had just, I think, come off of that last live stream when we did ours. So we talked about it a bit, but kind of going back and looking at it a bit, what are your thoughts?
I it looked very science fictiony to me.
I get you.
I mean, they were using a bow, but it looked like they were using a laser rifle to me.
Yeah,
It
because
didn't
all
feel
the
really
shots have
like
the
a Ranger.
magical effects.
Yeah, it didn't look well, and I mean, they're saying it's magical, but it looked like ray gun to me or laser gun. Um, so it didn't really feel like a fantasy ranger to me, but okay. I guess I'd also like to see what happens when it's combined with secondary archetypes.
How much do you think the ray gun aspect of it is part of the hybrid combat system, where a full tab targeting system would perhaps give a little bit more of like an arc and a homing effect because it's going to hit the target you fire at unless their evasion is or block intercedes. So instead of that sort of thing, we have something that's got to be fast and kind of instantaneous because you actually have to hit the target. Do you think that's a valid sort of comparison? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
So what's the comparison again?
That a full tab targeting system where the arrows are automatically homing, so they can have more of an artistic effect and take longer to get to the target versus this having the action component. It has to get there as instantly as possible because a slow arrow is not going to, hit a moving target hardly at all.
I mean, I'll have to play it. Actually, I think I did play a Ranger in 2017 at PAX West.
Hmm,
It was available there, but then not after that.
that
And
was a different decade.
right, and I think it felt pretty good then, although I was kind of wishing that I could use barriers, like place barriers in between myself, especially when I'm uh, running from a ranger. Um, so it's an interesting mix because I guess playing as the ranger, you do want there to be times when you can build your character such that it's close to being an automatic hit, right? Like my ranger should be better at aiming than I can be physically if I'm not, especially if I'm not as a player, I'm not great at aiming. Um, but it is also nice to have the ability of saying, "Hey, I know I made that shot." Like from a player standpoint, I actually made that connection. So
Yes, hit
from the ranger,
confirmation.
that's one of the ones where it's really nice to have that mix of both. Um, it's an RPG. So as an RPG, that's different than an FPS. So if it was an FPS or a third-person shooter, then I would be expecting those to all be player skill shots. You don't necessarily need as much help from um, the game to build your character to be better than you are as a player. But from an RPG standpoint, I should be able to make heroic builds that are better at decks than my actual decks. Um, so it was nice to see some AoEs. I don't know that I specifically liked the special effects. And then again, they didn't seem like I didn't feel like a fantasy ranger when I was watching that. So that's really my only disconnect there. I think it's fine and it's nice that they have that mix of tab target and action and you can either mix and match or choose to focus on one or the other, I hope. I think one question I had though is like daggers. So let's say I want my ranger to be focused on daggers instead of bows. Do I still get some of those things, especially for my distance throwing? Like,
You
can I
mean
use those?
throwing daggers?
Yeah, throwing
Throwing
daggers. Yeah,
knives?
specific.
Okay.
Yeah, throwing knives. Yeah, specifically throwing ones. Yeah, and um,
Have they,
what I
that's actually a question. Have they actually confirmed throwing weapons of that kind?
I don't know. It's just that
No.
was one of the things that I came
Yeah.
away
Yeah, they've
from
not confirmed
is that
many of the weapons because that's a regular, reoccurring question. That was what they wanted us to ask back in July when
Okay.
we interviewed Steven, and
Mhm.
they were like, "Nope, can't answer
mm,
that question." So
mm. Yeah,
So,
so because when I think of ranger and then any archetype, any class can use any weapon, then that does have me thinking, right? Okay, so let's say I want to do throwing daggers instead. Um, how well can I use some of those ranger abilities? I wouldn't expect to use a lot of those with let's say a sword um or an axe,
not the ranged
but
ones, no.
I'm saying, but with the throwing dagger, can I do like instead of a rain of arrows, can I do a rain of, I mean, it's effectively doing the
I
same thing
I
as the
think
rain of daggers, basically.
I like where you're going with this, Diggs. I just want to recontextualize it to a weapon that is confirmed. That's the wand. A wand ranger instead of a bow ranger. Um, that is a good point. Would it be a rain of wand blasts? I like that actually. I really like and hope that that's an alternative. That instead of playing the physical and nature combined sort of, the more expected route, that you use a one, maybe even one particular element that synergizes well with your nature abilities, and that you're using that and specking into more of a wand ranger sort of thing.
It
Um,
is really super interesting in the sense of, because your augments are supposed to be able to change, um, you're supposed to be able to change what your active skills look like. So, how would that look if you're a ranger mage and you're using some of those AoEs instead of instead of a rain of arrows, is it a rain of lightning? Um uh and um maybe the throwing daggers thing, because some of the throwing dagger could be weapon based, right? Weapon skills versus active skills. But if you're a ranger rogue, that may make it more likely for the appearance of your um, active skills, whatever those are for the ranger, to have a different look than raining arrows or raining something else. So those are the kinds of things that I was thinking of when I was watching, after watching the ranger video, that we didn't get answered. But we'll ask Stephen that the next time. Maybe since it's a year since we had him on, then um, we'll get some of
yeah.
those answers.
Because it's definitely something that's going to come up in Alpha 2. At some point, I am going to go through all the classes and run the gamut with all the different categories of weapons, and then come up with, hey, so I know there's this hard and fast rule everyone can use everything, but here's where all the weak points are because, this and this and this and this. And so, is it supposed to be like they're better for different people, but anyone can use them, and so it's still like eventually kind of pigeonholes and a range of best in slot for the class sort of thing, or will it really be broad and open that any sort of flinger chucker launcher that you've got will correlate with your ranged attack skills, and any sort of smashy stabby slasher will correlate with your melee skills. Like that's if it's like that, then I'm gonna be really, really happy because I'm really excited to see the sort of variations that we'll see, the different builds and specs and stuff. especially as people specialize in all the other categories, the racial stuff, the guild stuff, all of that. So it's going to be interesting to see, and it's going to be interesting to see all of the layers. But I really hope that it is going to be, as we're talking about here, that wand, or if there's a throwing weapon, or the potion launcher, that all of them give that same characteristic of ranged weapon that counts as a ranged weapon for the whole pantheon of rangers' ranged attack abilities, and adapts to them thusly, that it isn't rain of arrows as just a skin for the attack, but instead it's rain of whatever the heck you're shooting.
Well, again, and I'm not sure where we are with this, like, because we haven't seen the essence abilities, the essence active skills recently, which would be like the hammer strike that we saw for what I call hammer strike for the fighter. But what did cleric had that whip for castigation? Um, we haven't seen those recently, I think. So I do have a question about whether um, those have been removed or whether they're still in and they've just been focusing on different types of active skills with the last couple of archetype demos that we've seen.
I don't mind the ranger, but I actually, before we get into, I want to keep following this train of thought that just entered my head before we get into
for
any
it.
kind of PvP. The ranger though, I think looks fun. I think it comes. I put this in chat, but I think it comes down to kind of two things for me. I've actually picked up the ranger in a lot of other games. Just it's been fun to sort of play that type of character. But the secondary class, I want to know what the combination of either ranger rogue or ranger cleric feels like. The ranger cleric more so for that, hopefully like old school kind of EverQuest feel of a ranger. Someone that just sort of. I feel like my historical remembrance of that class was someone that just kind of cruised along, just showed up, and they could heal you. They could do some DPS for you. They could kind of hang back and kind of a jack of all trades type of scenario. And then the ranger rogue, I think sounds very interesting if you can add some shadow elements and some other things to what you're doing. And then combat pets, like
Oh,
how that all plays in.
no, Ranger Rogue for me is, yeah, it's adding some stealth, but adding more mobility,
Well,
being
that too.
able to fire a grappling hook and then climb some more just on the sheer surface because you got some of that rogue juice. Hell yeah, hell
Yeah.
yeah. I'm all about mobility, especially in a game where you can go to everywhere you see. So you can stand on everything that looks like a platform. It isn't just going to have this funky collider there that's waiting to stop you. You see it, you go there. You've got this nice perch that you're fighting from. The one thing I always worry about with that is mobs that reset because they don't have some way to respond to you instead of just running away and getting out of range, or finding some way around to try to get at you, or finding some way to fling something at you so you can kill them and pick them off. That's going to be
Thing
like
about
one
Well,
big
they'll play very
concern.
different. I think they'll play extremely different. Yeah, I think the ranger rogue's going to be a much more up in your face type of stealth movement type build. Probably not even relying on bows very much. Maybe crossbows. Um, Versus this healer combo I view as more of the traditional. I'm going to stay back here. I'm going to fire my arrows and I'll heal people kind of in the back as need be.
we'd have to see what kind of schools augment schools are available for rogue. I'm not sure that there's a mobility school. Um,
We
I
haven't
mean, it
seen
seems
anything
more a
about the
utility.
character's mobility stuff yet. I believe
Yeah, yeah.
mobility abilities are like still unrevealed. They could be their entire live stream.
Right. But I would not be surprised if some form of shadow step might be available as an augment. Um, and when you think about that, Depends on what you're thinking of as a mob, because um, animals might not have access to Shadow Step, but um, if you've got uh, people, the people that we're fighting, brigands or whatever they come up with, should also have classes, and those classes should have access to the similar augments and active skills that we have. So if you have a ranger rogue who can get up to a cliff, I would hope that your mobs would have the same, I mean, especially the people ones. Um, they should have those similar abilities, so they should be able to port to you and blink to you and all that kinds of stuff too. So
There was a battle in
hopefully the
Alpha
AI.
1. There's a battle in Alpha 1 that I thought was one of the most well staged battles of the entire thing that we got to see. It was climb way up to the top of these rocks, and then there's two ancients you've got to kill. Both of them have a powerful knockback that will yeet you off the edge, you and your buddies. And so you'd have to go all the way down and back up uh, while everybody else is trying to survive, or it's just a wipe. It's probably going to be a wipe anyway if anybody gets yeeted, unless you got a big enough party. Required a lot of coordination, real good, just open world battle, and I want to see more of that, more of enemies being able to use the environment in that way. That was a staged setup with an ability that happens to knockback, so that's more of a parlor trick than an enemy actually, particularly trying to knock you off an edge. So that's actually, I would like to see that. I would like to see like a bandit tank or whatever, or fighter, charge me and knock me off the surface. So I have to use like the grappling shot to not, lose my stuff and splat on the ground. That for an MMO of this scale and magnitude, that is exciting to me. Even the thought that that could be what gameplay is going to be. I hope it will.
But,
But
well, Diggs, were you about to say something?
Real quick, somebody was talking about AI. They were hoping that they'll be able to use what is it called? Chat GPI? What's it
ChatGPT.
called?
GPT.
GPT, Chat GPT, to help with the AI in Ashes. And I was saying they're not really trying to innovate too hard on the AI. Steven has said that, they're keeping an eye on that and they'll see if they can incorporate any of that in. But Jeffrey Bard was saying, when I think actually the title of the thread was, will they be able to use that to make smart NPCs? And I was like, yeah, they're not really trying to go that
Language learning
innovative with it.
models aren't really designed for navigation and tactics. That's not what their intent is. I wouldn't use ChatGPT for that. I would
Yeah.
use ChatGPT maybe to help with giving it a very confined range of things that it can work with in its responses. Maybe it's a sentence that's got three parts to it, and each of those three parts has 20 or 30 variations to it. So it's not that it says the same sentence to everybody in the same way, but it is effectively communicating the same thing. It's just said differently to different people. Sure, I'd love to see that. That's a hell of a lot of extra work, though.
Um,
Actually, the one for me is using AI to give voices, like good, nice speaking voices to characters. And the crown jewel for that is allowing players to dictate the way that their character's name is pronounced. However, that is a moderation nightmare because everybody is going to say, oh, yes, my character's name is. And so all the NPCs like, hello, greetings, we need help. As funny as that is, obviously that doesn't actually fit the game world, so they wouldn't want to do that. But that doesn't mean there aren't opportunities for them to utilize AI. I just think, stick with more of the cool stuff like the procedural tools to help you paint the surfaces and make them more cool and lively. That stuff's A-okay. It's been proven. We got to see it with the Sand Mommy sculpture or whatever. Great. So they've got tools that do some things that maybe would be considered AI, but Yeah.
I think it depends on
There's a
yeah,
lot of idealism of what people think AI can do versus the reality of what it can actually functionally do, and the amount of work it takes to do it. Oh, we're
exactly. Yeah.
gonna go long on this one, aren't we?
Uh-huh. Yeah, and I was gonna say, yeah, it depends on what smart is, and I think if smart you mean dialogue is a little better, then okay. I mean, smart to me instantly makes me think of story bricks, which I think is way too ambitious if this game is going to release before 2030. But
The
like you
tricky
said,
part with that, you don't need AI for story bricks. That's the
well,
tricky
but I'm
part.
saying even story bricks is ambitious.
Well, yeah, Storybricks was
Particularly,
a
well,
behavior. It was
yeah,
it was
but that's what I'm saying. By smart, that's what I think of when I think of smart AI
Yeah.
is
yeah.
story
Basically just a
bricks.
tagging system in Revival,
Well, yeah,
But
in
there's and I
another.
think there are two things actually. Yeah, you have the Storybricks more behavioral needs and wants, and then you have when I think of Chat GPT, I think more of creation of the actual NPC character, the persona, the speech, um, the language that they use, like how they actually communicate their needs, which is I think different from Storybricks, which is just generating the needs and the wants. Um, those two together, I think, are sort of your holy grail for AI, is um, being able to get to a point where you can almost. And I've had this debate. Teradin's going to. I've been in the um, oh the gosh um, the Discord for oh my god, the name of the game just left me. Um,
revival,
no, anyways,
Chronicles?
seed, seed, not
no,
seed.
no, it's not even close to
Mm,
out.
mm.
Not Seed Teradin. Our other one that's oh my gosh. Anyways, we've had a lot of
X-Ray?
there's been chats about this with I think that's the next, when you get to a point where you can't tell if an NPC, like you can actually go into a game and just want to chat with an NPC, I think is going to be incredibly interesting when that can happen. How was your day? And you actually get back a real response of, well, I only was able to harvest 2 dozen potatoes today. I was expecting three. You know, those damn bugs
I,
got in the way.
I
That's
mean,
that's going to be interesting.
it's actually got to have like a full-fledged game around it though, because I think there is just
Mm,
like talk to AI Jesus that you can just log into and start talking to AI
playable
Jesus. But
worlds. Playable
yeah.
worlds. It's
Oh,
in that
playable.
Discord.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
In that Discord's where we've had this conversation. And I'm not looking for a chatbot. That's not what I want. I'm not.
No,
I'm not
exactly.
advocating that that's the kind of game. Um, I'm just saying when you can include that and you can include it in an AI driven way, that's not too time consuming or technically difficult because you're relying on a third party. I think that will be one of the next big revolutions for what we experience in MMORPGs. It's like the same story of what's the game that you always like, Diggs, that was redone.
Kingdoms of
Yes,
Amalur.
and being able to like completely screw over the quest giver,
Oh,
like
that was also in my humble bundle, so I'll eventually play it
yeah,
finally.
like you finish the quest and then you're like, yeah, screw you, I'm not going to give it to you, or you kill them.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
like having those sorts of interactions that are not completely scripted. Now that's still scripted, but being able to add in this sort of AI, I think will be fascinating when it happens. We are going to go over.
Well,
We've not even gotten
wait,
close to
yeah,
what we were going to talk about.
and I was gonna say it would be great too in terms of dialogue AI, like you were kind of alluding to, Phantom, is reacting to or talking to us about the node changes. That would be kind of cool if you're talking to an NPC and they're saying, "Oh yeah, that node just got destroyed," and um, you jump in the game. What happened last week? Oh, uh, these assholes came in last week and they weren't monitoring the land management, so now all the trees are gone or all the roses are gone. What are we supposed to do now? Um, if we could get NPCs talking about that, that would be cool. Although we're really supposed to be talking with other players about that stuff, so I wouldn't want that to make it so that it stops players from talking to each other. But it would still be cool if we could get NPCs to also react to what the players are doing.
So we have not even gotten to the PvP. I wanted to. We might actually just have to end up keeping a big talk about that till after the thing, because I
How much
actually
time do you have, Nero? How much time do you have?
I've only scheduled up to the end of the hour, so I might get called
Okay.
away at some point. But till then, we can either talk a little bit about PvP, or we can hold off on that one until next week and spend the whole episode on it.
Well, let's maybe wait, and because I wanted to bring up something else. So in Discord, I've been absent from Ashes for most of this period, probably a good 3 weeks now. Discord forums, all of it, slowly reintegrating. And so, of course, one of the first things I do is to go back and see what Steven has been chatting about. And one of the things, it's not much because he doesn't really get into Discord as much as he used to, or he does in bunches. I really disagree with their take on utility and support classes. He was talking about the Bard, and I guess the Bard and the Summoner are sort of your utility support groups. And I feel like it sounds interesting, like you're literally dancing and singing when you're playing the characters, what he's hinted at. But I don't think of a support person as doing really any kind of DPS themselves, right? I'm used to the sort of classic EverQuest, your shaman and your, your enchanter, or EverQuest 2 and your illusionist, people that would either buff other characters, your friends, so that they could be better at DPS or they could regenerate mana quicker, or your role was to debuff, whatever it was you were trying to kill. And that's where I see utility and support. And I know I might stand on my own in that, but I really don't see that at all in either the summon, certainly not the summoner. The bard, maybe, I guess we'll have to see. What the bard was one of the more fun classes to play in EverQuest because you could tune twist. But even then, really what you were putting out there was buffing everyone else around you, um, rather than
I
pure DPS.
I think of the summoner as like the a boy and his blob of the party that they can do basic stuff like the other characters can do, and then they can make something happen that helps in the situation. You need a ladder, great. Feed it the ladder jelly bean and it makes a ladder, great. Or in this case, you just conjure a ladder because you're your own boy and your blob. That you got to get across a bridge. All right, summon a bridge. Hey, we got to get from point A to point B, and we want to stay together. Great, I'll summon a giant lizard party bus. I'm not exactly sure what exactly utility means. I almost wonder if it's going to be more like the fill in all of the gaps that everybody else doesn't have covered sort of thing. That there will be things where everybody can only do so much relative to what their classes do. So yeah, you do need the bard to keep the passive heals going, so that way there's a trickle of healing going for everyone. Yeah, you do need the bard to do the mana regen song where they spend all their mana to restore everyone else's, and then have to do the mana restoration dance where they sit around and play a little jingle, dance a little bit while their mana restores, so they can start barding again. Maybe they can do their auras while they're still doing that. I don't know. That I got no idea. It's very interesting. When they were saying utility skills without contextualizing it, I was thinking more about like a wizard casting arcane lock or lock unlock spell, or rogues lock picking and dealing with traps and that sort of stuff. The fighter being able to bend bars and lift gates. The classic D&D tropes. That's kind of a little bit more what I think about with the utility skills, and
Me
then the
too.
variations on that. Like, well, there's a locked door. How is each and every class going to deal with it, and then which one's going to be more or less effective for the situation? What if you specialize into it? Oh, hey, I summoned some gallium inside of the lock for 5 seconds. Now I can just crack it with a hammer and the thing pops off. I have no
Yeah,
idea.
and
Utility is such a vague word.
well, and when I'm thinking about RPGs, I don't really well, I don't like even the concept of DPS for RPGs because we don't have that in D&D. Um, I'm thinking about the actual role of the class or the role of the archetype, not their MMORPG role, combat role of utility, support, tank, whatever. So yes, for Bard, I expect them to be singing and motivating um, the group, and I expect them to be able to do some DPS. I don't know why a Bard would not be able to do any. Um, but yeah, they're usually supporting the group and giving buffs and all that stuff through their music or spoken word or whatever manner of entertainment they're providing. Um, and I don't know that I would be expecting a summoner to um, be summoning bridges and walls and things, but I would expect a summoner to be doing more crowd control. Um,
Maybe.
I guess technically, because I'm expecting them to be in combat summoning
Crowd control. I thought this was
critters.
all AE.
I always just kind of go back to the wizard from Trine who can only make boxes and platforms. And you have to
Mm.
drop boxes on things to kill them and use platforms to like block things and make wedges so mechanical stuff will stop. Like that, if you think about it in that sort of context, like, you know, the Trine games and everybody's different abilities and how they have to get through the stuff that way, you know, they're all very different characters with very different roles, and there's a lot of ways to approach a lot of the puzzles. Some of them are the wrong way, and you have to switch characters, but in more of like a party situation, or if you're playing the game 2-player, 3-player, you will be able to prevail and get everyone through. So,
I think
you know,
Steven usually talks about summoner as summoning minions. So I guess
minions.
that's why I'm focused on that a little bit more. But we'll have to see, especially when they're combined with other, well, and especially if you start thinking about scholar organization augments, that's where you could, right, really get into some mechanical stuff. Um, or even maybe Thieves Guild. That's an interesting question. What kinds of stuff were you adding on? What kinds of augments would you be adding on to active skills of a summoner? And how would that change the type of things that they're summoning? So, yeah, that's an interesting thing to think about. What are summoners summoning?
Yeah, it's fair. I put this in chat. I think, yeah, it's a fair to distinguish utility from support. I guess I'm thinking more support than specific utility. Playing an enchanter for so long in EverQuest, I mean, I literally did not really strike anything. I mesmerized ads, and I buffed my colleagues, and I debuffed the others, and and then I sat and I meted my mana back.
But
That is
again,
what
that's
I
the
think of
beauty.
support.
But that's the beauty of having a secondary archetype that will change your class and change how you're doing your stuff. So that allows you to do
Well,
some DPS
yeah,
while
and
you're doing other stuff.
I don't think we'll ever get back to that anyways. I think that's an old style that probably left with EverQuest 2 is my guess.
Mhm.
It was certainly never in World of Warcraft and everything. At this point, it's all about heals, tanks, and DPS. I mean, that's all it is. There's no.
Yeah,
Well, it
that's
was,
that's
but
why
I
I
don't think
always bring
that's
it
going to
back.
be the case with Ashes of Creation. I think it's going to be very different.
Yeah,
Mm.
I suppose the other thing that I'm wondering is again how much self-sufficiency versus needing the other party members everybody needs for every different thing. I think about with like a fighter in D&D, you don't think about a fighter as a healer except they have abilities to self-heal themselves, and being able to self-heal, and some of them have some other benefits to them when they do it. That's just as important as someone else being able to heal you, you being able to heal someone else. So people
Hmm.
don't really think about like, oh, fighters aren't healers. But if you go through the entire combat log and you tally up all the amount of healing that everybody did, in total across the party, the fighters not nothing. They did a lot of healing across that campaign. They're not a healer. They don't heal other people, but they heal themselves. And so they have some of that self-sufficiency. So I'm wondering also how much of that each character has and how much you're, in order to coordinate with other players, kind of, okay, I'm going to stop healing myself as much and rely on you to do it more, but I'm still going to do it when I need it, especially if you're, starting to slack off, or I can use like a super defense or whatever for a little bit. That's looks like you're falling asleep. I know you're not, but when
No, I
you're
was
looking
looking
down
down.
there for a second, it's like, oh
No,
no,
I
I'm
was,
putting my guy to sleep here.
I was
Are we getting
watching.
old?
No, San Francisco, Detroit looked like they were gonna run away with it, and they actually just
Oh,
lost,
gotcha.
which is crazy. Anyways, no, I'm not sleeping, not yet.
No, okay, good. Oh,
Well, we are running over. I will say real quickly, I did do an impromptu poll of Discord and Ashes, and to see what everybody thought they would expect from this live stream, which is Wednesday for PvP, and it was basically like, we expect them to be fighting. Like, I don't think anybody has huge expectations. I wonder how quickly until it's, you play the class wrong, they're imbalanced. I'm waiting for all those
you're using cheat. Stop cheating.
yeah, I'm waiting for all those conversations to come out. But
What's the balance set to right now? Yeah, all of that. Yes.
Yeah, that was another question in the forums for the show was, someone basically saying healers are too hard to kill. In the paper rock scissor game, who's going to be able to kill the healers? So, anyways, well, we are back. We did not at all, as per our normal tradition, get to what we actually planned on talking about. Which is perfectly fun. The next live stream, as we said, is Wednesday for Ashes of Creation, and they will be demonstrating PvP. So hopefully we'll get to see something fun that we've not seen. That has been the one thing we've always, or I know I've always talked about, is there's been no PvP anywhere in any of these showcases for years, despite this being a PvP game. So let's hopefully see some good stuff on Wednesday. And we will be back Sunday. And like I said, hopefully this has worked. I'm looking for some feedback on the way everything is set up. We've changed quite a bit on the screen, so I'm curious how everyone thinks it looks. I think I fixed the chat too. So I'm learning Restream as we go. And yeah, we are actually on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Kick. So a little bit everywhere all at once. So thank you for joining us. Hopefully everyone else also had a good holidays while we were taking a break too. And yeah, we will see you all back here next Sunday. Hopefully we'll join you live Wednesday on YouTube as we're watching Stephen and Maggie. So see ya.
Yep.
All right.
Adios, everybody.